what's funny is when, I have people question the stuff I do and where I see the solution to certain problems, and then they go to some medical doctor, and sometimes they come back a month or two later and they say, yeah, this didn't work out well, and let's try whatever you're offering. And I can only tell you the stuff that I learned from medical doctors and from my mentors and teachers that have been in practice for many, many years, and they've been successfully implementing these different protocols with different kinds of clients and patients. And I basically pull all that knowledge together from these different areas that I learned from and studied with, and I built my own stuff, I built my own protocols, and I built my own understanding of how stuff works, right? But like the basic understanding of what a glycine is and that it works well with glyphosate, I didn't come up with that. Like that's stuff that I learned because you can just look at the chemical structure of it. It's very similar, and you just have to know when to take it, how to take it, and with what to take it, so it doesn't get dangerous and doesn't fuck up certain other systems. But what I was going to say is, all these people that I learned from, especially the ones that have a medical degree and that have been certified by the government, they all went through immense shit, right? Like 80% of them, they were very close to losing their license. They got attacked by the system, and that is all because they look for alternative ways of healing people, right? And you're not allowed to do that. The system doesn't like that, and they want you to go to the pharmacy, and they want you to buy a pill, and they want you to have all these side effects, and they want you to stay a customer for a lifetime, right? And that means you don't get cured, you stay sick, you stay where you are, maybe you get better, but then you have different problems because of the side effects of a certain drug, and that's that perpetual cycle, right? So they don't want you escaping that cycle, and that's why the system protects certain protocols, and they protect certain medicine and certain drugs, and they attack everyone that thinks differently and that especially talks about it publicly, right? And so, just my 2 cents, if someone has a medical degree, it doesn't fucking mean that they're qualified to help you. And if someone doesn't have a medical degree, also doesn't mean that they're qualified or not qualified. Like, it really depends, It's like the best people that I met, and with best I mean not just from the human level, but also from the knowledge and on the practical level, they've all been to some extent also self-taught, right? Like, because you have to go out there and look for the solutions, right? Like, you have to be hungry for knowledge, and you have to be hungry for input, and you have to be hungry for looking for solutions, because otherwise you won't even meet these people that you can learn from, right? Because who did you learn from? You went to uni, right? You got your medical degree, you learned from the government, basically, right? Like, you didn't learn from anyone that thinks differently than the system already does, right? So what does that mean? It means if you constantly look for solutions within that system, you will only always have the same output and the same results that you've had before, right? I learned this very early on. I learned this in childhood because, I have been diagnosed with asthma and with ADHD as a kid, right? And I've been running around with these labels for a long time, and so they were giving me chronic medication, basically treating my chronic asthma or inflammation of the lungs, if you want to look at it from a Western medical standpoint. Then I was literally just taking cortisone for years and years and years, and they told me there's no solution to your problem. You just have to take this fucking spray, and there are these pills, and this is the only solution that you have. And that stuff just makes you even more sick over time, right? Because cortisone has huge side effects. But what I noticed was that they weren't actually offering any solutions. I grew up in a family of academics, of doctors, and my mom was a nurse when she was younger, and so I had medicine around me all my life, basically, right? And also Eastern, luckily, right? Also Chinese medicine and alternative medicine, right? Homeopathy, acupuncture. Like I grew up with that whole spectrum, luckily, right? Which is why I knew there was always different solutions to a certain problem. And so what I noticed was that there was no solutions to any of the problems that I had, right? Nothing worked long term. Nothing actually got better. My allergies were staying the same. My asthma was staying the same or worse. And I was just having, like these drugs in front of me, these like chronic medication drugs. And that's it, You just have to kind of accept that there's no solution to your problem, right? And I'm not that type of person. I do not accept that kind of bullshit because I don't believe in it, right? I don't think there are certain things that can't be solved, right? Like, sure, if you're missing a finger, if you lost your arm, that arm is gone, right? Like, that's the way it is. But like everything else, I think can be solved, especially in the health space. There are certain things, like even eyesight, right? Like they tell you that you cannot improve your eyesight, which is also bullshit. Like I've seen people improve their eyesight with eye training. They're doing like certain protocols every day. Like it's 15 minutes a day, 3 times a day, and then they've just had huge improvements with their eyesight. Or I don't know, asthma as well. Like I'm still on that journey where I'm not fully, let's say healed from it, but I will get there. I know that, I know that this is solvable. I know that, my allergies that I still have, and also the new allergies that I got through some vaccination that I took when I was like younger, when I didn't know any better. I took yellow fever vaccinations because I was traveling to Asia, and I got egg and mango allergies and stuff like that, right? Like so I got it overnight, basically, so I know it can also be solved and work backwards. But it's just a matter of all these layers, right? Like always look at it like an onion. You have to peel layer by layer, and you will eventually get there. And it takes much longer to actually heal something that you fucked up with, something so powerful as a so-called vaccine, right? But especially also what is in the carrier fluids and stuff like that, it's very difficult to get that out of the system. It takes long, especially if you choose the natural route. So yeah, like I've been through all of that. I've seen what the medical system does to you. I've lived through it, especially when I had like this episode of my life where I was like in huge pain. I talked about this often. You check out my podcasts and stuff. Like I had massive nerve pain from an old injury. All of a sudden it flared up, and now I know it was all fascia related, right? Because the fascia basically holds the bones, and if you're dehydrated, which I was, because I was still in active addiction and daily usage, and I was dehydrated, then I had emotional pain come in, like that whole phase where my partner at the time, let's say the relationship ended. Then also a good friend of mine, kind of betrayed me with her, and all that stuff, like it all came together. Then I had an injury at the ankle, so I couldn't move properly, and all of a sudden I have this massive nerve pain come in, and so much pain, and nobody knew what to do. I had all the connections to the best doctors, to the best professors, to the best, the best of the best. I went to all of them, and the only solution to them was to get an operation, right? The best of the best in the field told me to get an operation, put plates in there, and I refused to do that. I refused to go down that route because I didn't believe in it. I didn't believe that this was the only solution. I know what it means to have, a foreign metal, a foreign body, inside of your body. Like, I know what that means. I know what that, does to the system, especially when it's metal and when it's plates. And, I refused to accept that, and I went the hard route. I went to, all the different chiropractors, physios, osteopaths, specialists. I went to all of them, and I found a solution. I found that one guy that thought he would understand what he had to do, and we went for it. I had therapy 5 times a week in the beginning, 4 times a week for many months, and actually more than a year. And it was insane pain because I couldn't even lay straight, right? Like my neck was so fucked up, like I couldn't even lay straight. I couldn't even get a proper MRT in the beginning because I couldn't stand still or even lay down and stay in that fucking pipe for whatever, 15 minutes or whatever it would take. And yeah, I just fought my way through that. And again, I'm on the other side of it now, and it was the right decision, right? It's just the way it is. You just have to understand how this whole system works, and most people don't. Like, all these specialists, all these best of the best in their fields that work with the spine and work with nerves, they have no, like, I haven't had one person tell me about fascia. I haven't had one person talk to me about fascia. And that was the solution. Like, I had to understand what fascia is, what the facial fluid is, what it means, what it actually entails, what proper hydration means to the system. It took me a long time to get that, even after I was kind of out of that acute pain phase where I could sleep again. I was off the painkillers and off the opiates and off the weed and off the drugs. Then later I met the guy. I actually met this girl that I did a podcast with. Musical Breathwork is her account. She's amazing. You can check it out. It's one of my early podcasts, and she really opened my eyes to fascia once again. How this whole system is connected, how this all works together. And then in retrospect, it all made sense all of a sudden. It all made sense. I was lucky, right, that I found like this family friend of ours. He's a great osteopath, but like really skilled, on an energetic level as well. And he basically, opened this whole thing up slowly and, realigned everything. And we went, me just talking about it, like, fucking feel it. And yeah, we went deep, and it was painful. And even he didn't explain to me, that is actually like a lot of, fascia, but because he's on a different level, he thinks in like, granular kind of terms, right, inside of that system, right? So, and also, my brain wasn't functioning. Like, I couldn't live my life anymore at that time. My brain was just in pain. Like, it was fight or flight, nervous system all over the place. And that was 7 years ago now. And yeah, that's how it goes. You don't give up, you push through, you listen to your gut, and you don't let anybody else tell you what the solution is unless you agree with it, right? And have a good think about the solutions that the medical system offers you at first, right? Like, don't go with the first offer. Don't go with the second or the third. If it doesn't align with what you think is good, then just keep going and keep looking for different answers. And as I said, the first solution is probably never the best, especially if it's someone that doesn't know any better, right? Like I'm not even like pissed at these people and at these professionals, because they don't know any better. They don't know that it's possible to work through such a problem with 18 months of osteopathy and energy work. But they just don't believe in it. So why and how could they offer it to you? So yeah, I don't even know where this video is gonna take me. Like we're 15-16 minutes in. Like sometimes I just press record and just go for it. And either way, either it doesn't matter what problem you have, right? Just be hopeful and don't give up, even if you're in so much pain that you want to give up, because I was there back then. Like this was the only time that I thought about giving up, because it was just not bearable anymore. Like I was not sleeping for 2 weeks straight, and none of the painkillers were working. None of the therapists could do anything because I couldn't lay down. I couldn't, like, it was horrible, like I just literally didn't know what to do anymore. And of course, like these opiates, I was taking huge amounts of tilidine, like double the maximum dosage per day, and just didn't help anything. And surely that also has a huge impact on your psyche, and then you come up with these stupid ideas, plus the sleep deprivation and like constant pain. Like you really go nuts at some point, right? But yeah, luckily I made it through. Luckily my now wife was there. She was already there back then, and she really helped me in that dark hour, those dark weeks, those dark months. She was the calm ocean, trying to be there for me whilst I was on fire, and dimming that fire with her calm nervous system, with the feminine energy, with her presence, which had a massive impact on my nervous system, because it was all over the place. And she was, she just calmed me down like no other human ever before, which is also a reason why this works between us, right? So nonetheless, as I said, don't give up. Whatever problem you have, if you think there's a problem that I can help you with, reach out. If I can help you with it, I will let you know. If I can't, I will also let you know. Like I'm not that type of person that will say, yeah, I can help you, and I know from the get-go that I won't be able to. Like I only help with stuff that I can actually help. And if I don't know what to do with you, and if I'm not a specialist in a field, then I will refer you to somebody if I have someone. And that's it. Wish you all the best on your journey, whatever journey you're on. Don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to the motherfuckers that just want to keep you small and that just want to keep you in your old environment. Especially if you're an addict. Like make sure that you don't surround yourself with other addicts anymore. Like fucking get them out of your life. And it's the only way. Your environment is super important in the beginning, and then later when you're sober, you can hang out with them again. Like it's not a problem, if they respect your purpose, and if they respect your journey, and if they don't always offer whatever drug you were addicted to before. If they have to stop doing it in front of you, they have to not offer it to you, they have to stop talking about it. And if they know how to do that, then you can still hang out with them. If not, then I wouldn't even entertain these relationships anymore. it's not worth it, you know. Like, life is too short. Your time is valuable. Spend it with people that uplift you, and spend it with people that make your life better and that you can learn from, and that you can have sober conversations with and sober experiences with. And, you know, fuck the rest, right? There's good people out there. You will feel lonely, that's for sure. You will have that phase, because that's normal. You know, God puts us in that place where, you know, I call it solitude. It's not loneliness, right? And solitude is where we find solutions, where we find our peace, where we, you know, get back to center and to homeostasis, and only there we can actually, you know, grow in that phase. After, you know, all these tumultuous years and months where your nervous system had to cope with all that shit, your adrenals are still crying and screaming for help and for the nutrition they need and the support they need to get back to normal. Your liver, your kidneys, your intestines, your gut, your heart, your soul. You see, there's a lot to do, you know. And as I said many times before, once you stop with the substances, that's when the real work starts, okay? And you're not sober then, right? Like, you're only sober when you've been really through that fucking phase, right? Where all the cravings come, thoughts come, and then you push through, and then you say no once again. And then, you know, with me, it took like 18 months of, you know, should I not, another drink, another line, I mean, the line wasn't actually the problem with me. It was more the alcohol was really difficult for me to really stay away from it. But yeah, as I said, it took 18 months of work. I mean, after the moment I stopped drinking, right? But the work started way before, and it's still ongoing, right? Like, the work on ourselves should never stop. We should always keep improving. But yeah, until you you know, reestablish that healthy baseline, that healthy dopamine baseline, it will be more difficult than, you know, it is now for me. Now my dopamine baseline is back to normal. But as I said, it took 18 months, 24 months, and it's not easy, right? Anyways, I have to go. I'll talk to you on the next one.